So Chan and Afcon in East Africa. Let's talk about that. East Africa is on the clock now. Kenya is already prepping, you know, for Chan and Pamoja 2027. I don't know if Uganda we are okay or we are planning to play catch up.
Ugandan preparations are going very well, I must say. And it's one of those things that have been taken seriously. I mean, if you look at our history, not just with sport, but with the way we prepare things for things, especially international, of an international nature, I think Chan and Afcon will stand out as some of the projects for which Uganda as a country has actually put emphasis, concentration, and done with a lot of passion. The buy-in for Chan and Afcon has been national, if you like. There are projects for which you've felt that certain parts of the population were not exactly into them or were detached. There are projects for which not every government department has been involved. There are projects for which you thought that they were so specialized that even if they were very, very organized, say like some of the recent, I'd say like Chogam, for example, before. But Chogam perhaps was caught the imagination of the Ugandans more than, say, some of the others we've had recently at Munyonyo, for which Sudiro Pereira had to build an international conference center.
The non-aligned movement.
The NAM, yeah. I thought that apart from the fact that there was press coverage and there was activity on the roads, for example, for which police and everybody had to get involved and all, I did think the entire population was into what was going on. And because it did not come in, for example, in Kampala here, it didn't come into the city center, it was on the periphery in Munyonyo. There are parts of the country where they didn't feel the impact of actually what was a very, very big international gathering of a very high caliber, international stature. For Chan and Afcon, I feel that there's buy-in from everywhere. Sport is a unifier, we know. But also, when I look at, for example, Mark, I'll tell you, and Pearl, a couple of weeks ago, we were in Hoima. The president came in to unveil the foundation stone for the construction of the Hoima Stadium, which is already ongoing, as you know, and came in with the First Lady, who's the Minister of Sport and Education and Sport. Now, both of them had not been to the site before, but so many other people who showed up hadn't been either. What I saw, though, however, was that there was a big turn-up from the political circle. I mean, ministers showed up. Apart from the president and the First Lady, you had the Vice President was there, Honorable Jessica Lupo. The Prime Minister was there, Honorable Robin Anabanja was there. There were several ministers, Honorable Matia Kasaija, Honorable Balam Barugahare, Honorable Evelyn Anite.
The government chief whip?
The government chief whip was there, Honorable Hamson Obua. And so you could see that there were people from all walks of life. Now, this was meant to be just an unveiling of a foundation stone where you'd have thought that maybe government were hosts through National Council of Sports. So you'd have expected National Council of Sports and Ministry of Education to be there, and Ministry of Works, who are the supervisors. And then, of course, the contractors themselves, SUMA, the guys from Turkey. But almost every department was represented. But the interest in this had been shown earlier from the reception that you have of any news you put out there about the progress of Hoima. First of all, of course, you would understand that the Ugandan sports fraternity is quite excited by the fact that we've got a contractor in our country who's doing things not only on time, but well ahead of time, and who is actually doing those things with quality. So it's a rarity, if we are honest to ourselves, it's a rarity. And so it had already excited people. But the interest from Parliament is such that virtually all the money that is meant to handle these projects is being passed, including supplementaries, not just original budgets and all, but supplementaries as well. And that these orders are actually coming from Cabinet, having been approved by Cabinet, but expressly directed, if you like, by His Excellency and the First Lady. And even the President has confessed, even at Hoima he did confess, look, he said, look guys, I've not paid enough attention to sport in the past.
Okay.
But you'll understand I had other...
He said those exact
words. I had other things to deal with. And the sports results you've been getting have been inadvertent because of some of the other things I've done, including to ensure what you call it, peace and security in the country, which then creates an environment in which you can do sport and all. And you could understand where I was coming from. But he was actually confessing to this and saying, look, now you have my undivided attention. Because we will not hide from it. It's because of him and the First Lady and the interest they have in these particular projects, Chan and Afcon, and the attendant infrastructure and everything, that actually everything is being done on time. Most especially the release of funds, because that's where we get problems usually. But not only the release of funds, also the cooperation of the different government MDAs. Because again, that I'll say that in all honesty, without fear, is that there's so many times when we have worked in silos. When government agencies have worked in silos. URA is working on something, somehow URA don't seem to know, they are not on board, or CAA are not, or you know who are supposed to do the road that we are not, that kind of thing.
I experienced that.
You did?
When I was on the board of Nambole, and you're trying to beat deadlines, and then you have a consignment of material which is being held because of taxes, and you're supposed to get a waiver, and then you are procrastinating. So, but Mark, enough of Uganda. I think when Mark starts talking about Uganda's preparation, you may think that.
Okay, let me then allow me 2 more minutes to summarize it.
Okay.
Yeah, so okay, let me allow me then to summarize it quickly. I know Mark wants to go to the rest of East Africa because the other countries are also doing the same. This is Pamoja after all. It's not just a Ugandan matter. It is for Kenya and Tanzania as well. But before you go to Kenya, Mark, so the president was there. So I was just creating a background to show you to give the impression of how much work is being done and how it's in tandem with everybody else. But more importantly, that even the presence of the political power base as well as the administrative and all, was the work that's actually going on ground. Because SUMA, like I was saying, them working ahead of schedule, they promised that by end of April, they'll have done a lot of other work. By end of June, we'll have finished with the concrete works and all, and then start the steel works. When you talk to some of them, SUMA, what they say, we are doing the hardest bit now. You might think that there's a lot more work to do, but when it comes to it, it will be what they call plug and play. Because once they're done with all these concrete works, which you've been seeing going up, the pictures and videos we keep sharing, is then they will go to the steel works and then fittings. Most of that stuff will come ready-made. They just put it together, assemble and plant, assemble and plant. And they're so good at this that they can do that in just a few months, which is why they're actually thinking that they will have done this project by the end of December. Now that is a whole 6 months before the projected timeline, the original timeline in the project contract, which is 18 months. Because they only started, just at the end of last year. So if they finish by December, they'll have done it in 12 months rather than the 18. Now, remember, again, remind, because every time we have new viewers, you remind people that we are talking about a 20,000-seater stadium capacity. We're talking about an indoor arena of 2,000-seater that plays all indoor games, the basketball, netball, badminton, whatever. We're talking about outdoor courts for basketball, netball, tennis, and all, 2,000 and other outdoor courts. We are talking about another outside training ground, a pitch. We are talking about a 25-meter semi-Olympic size swimming pool and a car park of more than 1,000 cars. All of this is in that one project, which these guys are saying they'll finish by December. It is amazing. It's even hard to imagine, to fathom that kind of thing is happening in Uganda. But they've done it next door before, so that's going on. But Mark, after that, we came back to Kampala. And then just a few days ago, the government of Uganda, through NCS of course, then goes and signs a memorandum of understanding with Makerere University. So we were at Makerere with Professor Barnabas Nawangwe and put pen to paper on this signing. Now, it is the same MOU as government signed with Chambogo earlier, and the same that they are signing with others. This, as Mark will tell you, constitutes construction of training grounds, because for every stadium that CAF has approved as Afcon host, and they have to have training grounds. And in this case, the training grounds are also for Chan, but mostly for Afcon, the ones we are signing.
Mark, if I may digress a bit, what became of the netball facility which was constructed by the EPDF Engineering Brigade and Makerere
Yeah, there's an indoor stadium that was ongoing, that construction. To be honest, and I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
I don't have an update on that.
Yeah.
When we were there, I was too concentrated on what is going to be constructed that I don't know about that now. However, I'll assure you, regardless of any delays, because I think that's what you're insinuating, regardless of any delays
I mean, being NCS in charge, I expect different results. Because,
regardless of that, this is a different project and with strict timelines and a different methodology of approach. So, Government of Uganda signs an MOU with Makerere University for the training ground. Where we, and I literally, I mean, I played on these grounds for 4 years when I was at Makerere, a very long time ago, before you were born, by the way. What they call Makerere Main Ground, the famous Makerere Main Ground, is going to be completely transformed into a pitch, a training pitch that is of CAF standards. Now, when I say CAF standards, what they want of our training pitches, and Nambole has 4 attached to it for Afcon. That's Chambogo, that's Makerere University, that is Kadiba, which is being done by FUFA, and then Wankulukuku. But there's also the outside pitch, actually, of Nambole itself, is counted for Chan. Wankuluku, I think, will be later for Afcon. Yeah. So these training grounds are actually being done. So what they do with them is that you move them from just having a pitch to having a pitch enclosed by a proper perimeter wall, perimeter fencing, inside of which there is a pavilion for 1,000 people. There are changing rooms, new changing rooms, because these pitches don't have them, as you know. Makerere didn't have them, Chambogo didn't have them. They're doing them as well. And then
toilets, running water,
that kind of thing. Yeah. So you have a standby generator, for example, so that this thing is lit 24/7 without power breaks and all, because it has powerful floodlights as well.
There'll be no Umeme issues, we hope.
Yeah, there won't be, because when you have your standby generator, you don't, even if the national grid goes off, you're good. Yeah. But the reason for that is that of course, you have nations that will be using them even at night. And then along with that, you've got a watering system. So they connect these pitches to National Water and Sewage Corporation line and then create boreholes for them, because they've got to have a 24/7 sprinkling system that takes care of, because the turf that's being built, the playing surfaces, are being changed to hybrid, to proper international standard, high maintenance pitches, which need to be fed all the time. The proper lighting and the proper water. Those are the ones that they're putting there. Actually, and Mark knows this from his Nambole experiences, because Nambole UPDF Brigade had to bring on a company called SIS Pitches, SIS Pitches. They're from the UK. They're specialized in doing and installing turfs.
Yes.
They are world renowned. So CIS are actually going to work with them, with the UPDF Brigade, even on pitches like Chambogo and Makerere, because of the specialized nature of those turfs. So the training ground, when they talked about this thing costing 29 billion, each one of the training pitches, for example, in and around that figure, a few people asked me, how each one of those training grounds, will cost that much to construct, to upgrade from just a small pitch to that. People asking me, where is all that money? So when I talk about those things, you realize how costly it actually is. It's an expensive venture, and it's highly sophisticated, highly specialized, and delicate. So that's how we are. When you talk Uganda now, that is what's ongoing, Mark.
And I think that reinforces the whole co-hosting option for East Africa, because hosting this tournament is very expensive. As a country, as one country, especially countries which didn't have the kind of infrastructure which, say, the advanced countries in Africa, Egypt, South Africa, and Morocco had. Those are countries which can host Afcon on their own. They can host Chan on their own, because they have the stadiums in place, they have the training facilities in place, they have the hotels in place, they have the airports in place, they have the roads and etc. So for the other, I'll call them lesser advantaged economies in Africa, when you talk about Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, it makes economic sense to have a three-country bid, and of course a three-country hosting a three-country host process. But the Kenyans are not doing as bad as we initially feared, Mark. Because,
apparently, which is a good
it's a good thing.
News,
apparently, Nyayo Stadium is 90% done. I was at Nyayo when Uganda played Kenya, I think 2 or 3 years ago, And there had been so much renovation and improvement works which are ongoing. But when Kenya hosted the Gabon in the World Cup qualifier, it was packed to the rafters, and even the Kenyans who came to watch the game at Nyayo were impressed.
That's the same Kenya which had actually played its international games at Nambole before.
At Nambole before, yes.
Yeah.
So apparently Kasarani is at 80% done. There are still one or two things to be done around it. But if it's at 80% done, then you think that they're certainly on the right track, because I think Kasarani and Nyayo will be used for Chan. I'm meant to understand. And it also does help the cause that there's a bit of positive energy in Kenya after the appointment of Benny McCarthy.
Yes.
So that together with the wave of Chan and Pamoja, I think the vibes are very good. Apparently,
they must be, and so they have that unique thing which we don't have in Uganda as far as hosting these two major tournaments are concerned, is that they have actually two venues in the same city.
Yes.
Wow.
So Nairobi will have 9 teams plus Kenya.
Yes.
We are talking 2 groups. Each group is 4.
Yes.
So Nairobi has 9 teams plus Kenya,
Plus
10.
Kenya, 10.
In Uganda here we'll have a group of 4 in Kampala, along with Uganda and 3 others, and then another group in Hoima. And that would be the same for Afcon. And if they added Lira to Akibwa to the Afcon's venues in 2027, then you'd have another group there maybe. But Nairobi actually has 2.
Oh yes, yeah.
That is Kasarani and Nyayo.
And Nyayo, which makes it easier for accessibility, because
it's a huge city though with good infrastructure in terms of roads. So
bigger than Kampala.
they should have a problem. They shouldn't have a problem.
Talanta Stadium is also on course, because Talanta is now going to be Kenya's #1 stadium, because it's been built from scratch. It's been built by the Chinese, and it's going to be a stadium which has got all the modern aesthetics.
Yes.
So we are told. And I think apparently...
because it will be bigger capacity. Ours are going to be modern aesthetics as well,
Yes.
Hoiba and Akibwa.
Yes.
But Talanta is bigger in terms of...
60,000 seater.
Yeah, we are talking 2020s, yeah. But remember when we were here a few episodes ago, I was talking about how Hoima is for example going to be lit with different Ugandan colors in the night and all that beautiful stuff.
Yeah.
I think Talanta is probably targeting the same.
And of course, they also have a couple of training facilities which they're upgrading. They have Kasarani Annex 1, Kasarani Annex 2, the Police Circle Stadium, and a couple of others. So, Mark, you'll be shocked, but Kenya's LOC is headed by Nicholas Musonye, who was once in charge, was the eternal
Sekafa president
of Sekafa.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I know. He was. I mean, we were recently at a dinner for when they came to visit.
Yes, when they came around.
CAF and their locks, and I saw Nicholas Musonye for the first time in some time.
Yeah.
The ageless Musonye.
One of the challenges Kenya had this season was because there are 2 big events, and government had a very, very big say in terms of funding them. That was the DP World Tour, the Major Kenya Open, which was held at Muthaiga, and then there was the Safari Rally, the WRC Rally.
Yeah,
both of them are now out of the door. So the Kenyan government can finally commit all the funding and all the attention.
So funding had gone to the rally, which is a world event,
the world
event, and the
golf
world
event. But they're now out of the way, so they're firmly focused on Chan.
On Chan, yeah.
On Chan.
For us here in Uganda, that funding, thankfully, as far as sport is concerned, there were no diversions of the nature, especially, like I've told you, especially because the President and the First Lady have worked on it such that they've directed that all funds be available. Even when you see the recent supplementary that came out of Parliament, again, NCS is taking a big chunk of that, because most of it is actually going to this infrastructure. So the money is actually available, put aside for the training grounds, but the contractors who are working on Hoima and Lira, Suma and Samco, are being paid. They were paid 30% of project costs of the 129 billion, 130 billion around, $129 million. 30% of that project cost was actually paid to them. And yet they've been now doing works and invoicing government, if you like. They send in what we call certificates, IPCs, and all those have been paid. They are being as they send them in, they get paid. That's how serious the government of Uganda is. Because if you know how difficult it is to get money out of Ministry of Finance, even if it has been approved at a parliament level, because of at finance, it's not what is on paper in approval. It's what is in the coffers of the National Treasury.
Yeah.
What they've managed to collect from the taxes and everything. If
Yeah.
it's not there, you won't get it. But they are prioritizing these projects in Uganda and saying
And I think
the money for these will be available.
That's a good
It's amazing, isn't it?
And
Yeah.
for me, talking about Kenya, for me, it's also a very good thing that, I mean, the Kenyans are speaking in the same tone as, like us, because the thing about a three-country bid, all the countries must be at par. And if one country is not up to scratch, it's going to affect the preparation of all the others. So previously, there was word filtering through.
That's a complication with joint bids, yeah?
That's a complication with joint bids. But Kenya, apparently, I think, have now picked pace. From the information we're getting, I think they're going to be ready for Chan. I'm sure that Tanzania, initially, which was doing best, has also, I think Kenya is now at par with Tanzania. I have no qualms about Uganda.
Yeah,
I think it's going
we're
to be
doing well. So that means every country is doing well.
everyone is doing well, and we just have to wait for August.
Yeah.
Just be alive, so that we enjoy history.
Yeah, and a good thing that, Pearl, I'll tell you, Mark to Mark is privileged as far as getting information from these different countries is concerned, because we are part of the local organizing committees as well, but also because of our links with the rest of these countries. Now, Elias Makori, who's one of the biggest media personalities in East Africa,
And Africa, actually.
and Africa, yeah, is somebody who's will readily give information to Mark as soon as he needs it and all. He's heading media for Afcon and Chan on the Kenyan side. But this is somebody who I was with at Euro 2000 in Holland and Belgium in 2000, 25 years ago.
Yeah.
He was covering for Kenya, I was covering for Uganda.
Yeah.
So, I mean, now you see how Mark to Mark is a privilege.
and
So we'll be, Elias Makori will be feeding straight into
I
our
was
show.
with him at the 2012 Olympics.
Yes,
in London,
in
2016 Olympics in Rio de Janeiro, in Brazil. I was with him at the 2010 World Cup as well.
Yes, 2010 World Cup
So,
as well. Yeah, so.
this is Pamoja in every sense of the word.
So here is the one stop.
So this is the one-stop center.
Yeah, for
One-stop
Pamoja.
For Pamoja. For Pamoja, for
We
Chan.
are in the thing.
Oh yeah, right
Absolutely.
there. Yeah.
And actually, for the next edition, we'll be bringing updates from Tanzania,
Yes.
what's happening in Dar es Salaam,
Yeah.
and all the preparations from our brothers.
And perhaps even one of the big boys as a guest. So.
Oh yes, oh yes.
Hey. We've already had Dr. Gwel on here.
Oh,
Yes.
There are more coming.
There are more coming.
All right, guys, thank you so much. That's the update about the Chan Afcon, Pamoja and all.